Okay, it's hard to do this in a video. It's so much easier when we're in class. Second part of that first thing about his dad. My commentary then jumps to pretty good because I really want to make my argument. The language of the book and the dialogue of the film, remember when they made this film, he got to play the role of the guy falling apart. Placed Downey Jr. in a situation to publicly act out a situation he only knew too well. In this role, he exhibits the struggle, shame, and risk of his own addiction behind the mask of a fictional character. First thing, if you're going to use one adjective, sometimes use three. Never use four. Three is a very rounded, you know what I mean? It gives you like three dimensionals, like you're walking around the thing you're describing and having to say it twice or two more times. So now, if I put this on top, this is the mix of fame and shame. Well, here he gets to act out a guy who is hiding his shame from his friends as he falls apart. And where would that put that actor at that moment in his life? So it is, again, a lot more idea-driven and sort of not as direct as the other thing. Now this is the top quote. Now I can blend this sentence. I really know where this is going now. The link between acting and addiction has been a lifelong conflict for Downey Jr.'s life, introduced to hard narcotics at an early age by, this is 1 minute later, it's 1 minute better. His relationship with his father, introduced the heart into narcotics, forged a destructive combination of fame and addiction. That is stronger. Think about action verbs like this. That's a powerful word. Forged is hot steel and iron or whatever, I don't know, but it's hard to take apart. It's hard to pull apart from each other. So fame and addiction, and I keep touching that up, improve as you go. But again, don't get stuck on trying to, hit your home run first at bat. His father tried to blah, blah, blah. Now, this is pretty good. This is pretty darn good, I'm going to say. And now this commentary, now I can, instead of just writing my commentary and hoping it flows, I know the next thing that's coming is a guy who is stuck with fame and shame. So I fill in this commentary. The path to successful acting would then be saddled with the hidden private shame of addiction and narcotics, the mixture of subsequent fame, and the need to hide debilitating temptation placed him under incredible pressure. And then the next sentence is, in less than zero is most powerful. So see what I'm doing? I want you to do this. I want you to take the 5 or 6 things you have and arrange them and just place them and go, because writing these cards isn't that hard, but it challenges you to think up to a good idea, right? And then you can make sometimes a lot more connections than just the simple, direct, straightforward one. And it gives you a lot of flexibility. So the goal is to copy and paste this stuff down here on the bottom. Okay, and again, this document's going to be a total mess. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to different versions. So I'm copying and pasting my own sloppy work, this thing and this thing, and I'm putting it down here in the bottom. And I'm, take away the formatting and the indenting and all that stuff, highlight the whole thing and change the font. But the thing for points for me right now is just practicing this. So I kept the source material bold just to show that I'm not quoting too much from any book. It's a whole lot of my voice that flows here. And when we keep writing this way, it keeps us from repeating ourselves, which is the worst feeling in the world. You've written 2 pages and you got to write 5, and you feel like if I have nothing more to say, I'm just repeating myself. This keeps us from doing that, and it broadens the theme of whatever it is that we're really seeing. So the illusion of healing. Okay, so I wrote my conclusion sentence in here, which is just I look at my commentary and go, what's the bold thing? Well, he was in a tough bind growing up. Here he gets to play this one role where he gets to publicly, famously act out his own destruction. So that's why I put an ominous moment of safe public disclosure provided Downey Jr. The illusion of healing at the cost of a deeper addiction. Because he does say later on that playing this role made him an even more immersed into addiction. So now, this is decent writing. There is no grade for being perfect. There is none, not right now. This is just how do you do a working document when we are separated from not being able to be in the same classroom 5 days a week. So, and eventually I want to show you how this works out into a paragraph. I'm going to choose this version. And I want you to see how quickly you can go efficiently and cleanly and responsibly. You can go from writing a card like this and a card like that. And just by working on them together, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Look at the length of this. That's still a little bit long. Let me get to the last one. My apologies for rambling here. Again, we only do these in one take. So if the dog walks in, you get to meet my dog. Here we go. The bottom of the page is right here. This is 3/4 of a page. And if you want to pause it and read it, it's not perfect. I still don't have that source yet. I can shop for that. I'll find it. I'll use EasyBib, whatever. I still need the page number. I gave the attention, instead of it being the rules of how to write a paper, the most of my effort and attention went to my thoughts. And you need to trust your thoughts. So if you see a connection between two of your cards and only you see it and you're like, oh my God, here's this tiny little thing. That's the one I want you to write about. And if you use card 1 3 times, like I could have done card 2, then card 1, then card 1, then card 4, and then, card 6 and card 1. That's fine. These paragraphs for this assignment don't have to go in any order. They don't have to be, this sets up something else. A flaw in this assignment is going to feel like you have to explain and introduce this stuff. You don't. Just assume I know. You know what I mean? Get past the explaining part, or the introducing of certain details, and get to the part where you're like, if this paper was 10 pages long, I don't have to introduce this stuff anymore on page 7, but I'm sure nailing down these thoughts and these arguments. Okay, so that way we're just safely moving beyond just doing a biography. Instead, we're doing an analysis. So again, this is the top of the page. This is the bottom of the page. If you do 3 body paragraphs like this, and then add an introduction up top and a conclusion paragraph on the bottom, that's easy 3 to 4. More likely a 4-page paragraph, 4-page paper. And sometimes you want to whittle the quote down to very little. Sometimes you put a long block of quote in there. Sometimes that's appropriate. But we can get to this point quickly. So we're going to rehearse this and practice this over and over. We're at practice and scrimmage part of the year. We're not at product and game part of the year. That's later on. So the assignment I want you to do, if you can, I want you to, on the bottom, the same document, there's at the document, you can export it as a PDF or whatever. I want to see 3 things. I want to see the 2 cards you're doing at their roughest and most raw. The 2 things you're challenging yourself to write about. Throw them down here at the bottom. I'll find them. And then put underneath the paragraph that you made out of it. And then the most important part is just write a couple of sentences. I tried to do this and it kind of worked. I was seeing a connection between this and that. I was really leaning on, this one aspect of this theme, and I think I did pretty good, or I think it totally failed. Whatever it is that you say down here is the most important thing, because thinking about how you think when you write makes you a writer and not just somebody who's filling out an assignment, because that's always a complete waste of time. We need to feed our thoughts, build up those muscles, okay? So don't be afraid of failing, because the grade is going to be graded nice and light. Failing would be to take the sure thing and starting paragraphs with, and then this happened, and then he was this, and then ending it with, and that's what made them who they are today. That's terrible. It won't fit. This is college level. We don't do that stuff. We make bold statements and make arguments. Cool? All right, I don't know how long this thing was, but those are the 3 things we have to have. So I'm going to change my share real quick. Share, go to whiteboard. So here is what is required at the bottom of that working document. Copy and paste 2 source references. And if anybody could think of something to call that besides the source references and commentary, let me know. I'm in the business of buying a better noun for that. Copy and paste that you are planning to pair together in a bot. Should type better. They should, good God, they should be raw, rough, open-ended, like you found a rough diamond on the ground and you haven't made it into a necklace, earring, or ring yet. You don't know. Then show a, I'm going to say rough draft quality of a paragraph that has a topic sentence. Topic sentence should be nice and short and about the idea more than just the specific person. Source material, commentary, and a conclusion sentence. Thirdly, and most important, write at least 3 sentences. Honest sentences. Now, if you're frustrated, if you're like, man, I don't get it, I don't like writing like this. Look, the grade is going to be pointy if you try. Notice here, there's no rubric. I'm not grading on how good anything is. I'm just asking you to try this. And, you know, like I said about, it feels like going, if you take a risk and it feels like you're going on a tightrope walk on the Grand Canyon, don't worry about it. There's no tightrope. There is only the Grand Canyon. It's like that cartoon guy that runs out off the cliff and his legs are still spinning. He hasn't fallen down yet. He only falls when he looks down. Just don't look down. Believe in what you're saying. Okay? Make this reflective. This is the most important thing. Okay? That is the crucial thing. Cool? I think that's it. Email, message me with any questions you got. I'm doing this stuff instead of just putting up a bunch of online work from some curriculum I could buy. Much rather start with us working together in how we think.